Francisco González, Chairman and CEO of BBVA, one of the leading financial groups worldwide. My name is Santiago Iñíguez. As Dean of IE Business School, it was recently my great pleasure to interview Mr. González at the BBVA Innovation Center in the heart of Madrid. Founder of FG Inversiones Bursátiles, a leading Spanish securities firm, Mr. González was also the architect of the consolidation of public banks into the Argentaria Group, and afterwards conducted its privatization. He's vice president of the Institute of International Finance, and he's frequently featured in the Financial Times, The Economist, and the Wall Street Journal. Francisco, you have been defined as a visionary, and since you were appointed as chairman and CEO of BBVA, you have actually prompted a complete change within the bank. I suppose this has to do with the basic strategic pillars that you defined for this institution. So could you tell us briefly about these strategic pillars?
We set up 3 strategic pillars back 8 years, 8-9 years. One is our principles. Second, people, and third, innovation.
Which is very evident in this side.
It's evident in this side. But the most important pillar is our principles, in my view. And principles relates to corporate governance in general, relates to what sort of directors BBVA should have on board in terms of their experience, in terms of their track record, both personal and professional. We, in some way, pursue directors with an impeccable track record, and that's very important, at both levels. It has to be, principle has to be with good practices, how we create a long-term relationship with our customers, and we sell them the right products in terms of risks, in terms of price, in terms of their dreams, if you allow me. It relates to codes of conduct. In general terms, it relates to ethics.
You once said that every manager at BBVA should be able to publish as a highlight in a paper whatever he or she has decided the day before. I mean, this is a very serious, standard for behavior
more than publishable. We say that in BBVA we can do everything, or we can take every decision as long as we comply, or those decisions comply with three points. One, to be legal, which is obvious, but legal means to be in this part of the law, not overstepping the law, not hiring smart lawyers in order to look for loopholes. We are not interested in working in that area. Second, to be morally accepted by the society, what we are doing, to be morally accepted by the society. And third, to stand up to public scrutiny.
Can I ask you whether these principles are still valid given the current financial crisis? Because some people, tend to
are more valid than ever, I would say. Principles, in my view, is very important, because if you want to explain what has happened with the crisis we are living in over the last, what we have seen over the last 2 years, it has been brought about because some principles has been forgotten.
Since his appointment as chairman and CEO in 2000, BBVA has become one of the largest banks worldwide, with a leading presence in Spain, Latin America, and a growing share in the US and China. Of his leadership style, Mr. González has said, "You have to know where you want to go and with whom." He spends much of his time ensuring he has the best people working in the right teams. With a corporate culture that strives to create entrepreneurs, providing opportunities, responsibility, and the space to make mistakes is central to his approach. In his own words, if you don't make mistakes, you are either God or you don't take decisions. We are not God, of course. We have to take decisions. Can we now move to the courtyard? And while we approach, can I ask you about the growth strategy of BBVA? In the past years, BBVA has actually grown in different regions. In Latin America, it has a very solid position, in Spain, and increasingly in the US and China. So what has been the growth strategy for BBVA, in particular as related to mergers and acquisitions?
Growth is very important in our company. I would say that a company in the 21st century without growth has no future. But in our case, organic growth is our strategy. And non-organic growth, acquisitions, is our tactic. Therefore, when we acquire some institution, it's because that institution fits well in both our strategy and creates value. But we are not looking for acquiring entities in a daily basis. What really we work on every day, every morning, is how we can grow with our customer base, how we can turn the bank into a different institution, and at the same time looking for growth opportunities tactically.
Can you define what are the differential aspects of BBVA as compared to its competitors? I know that BBVA has a very distinctive culture. So how would you define these differential aspects?
I would say that the most important difference between BBVA and their peers is that we always work in the long term. We always work thinking that the decisions we're taking today will mature someday and we will be there. And we will be responsible for the result of those decisions. And in my view, that's very important. Of course, that creates a very strong corporate culture in terms of customer relationship, in terms of the experience of your directors, how people take care of their business every day.
Some analysts also say that you're a very resilient institution, that you have actually confronted this crisis in a much better position than other banks. This is a consequence, again, of the management and your vision and the strategy.
Our corporate culture has created a very resilient institution because we try, as I said before, work in the long term. Therefore, this crisis in some way was anticipated by our management because something was wrong back 3, 4, 5 years. There was a mounting disconnect between the real and the financial economy. And we knew that in 2005 or even 2004. Of course, we couldn't stop the bank from doing business, but we weren't involved in those toxic instruments and toxic business which have caused so much damage to the market.
Analysts also say that you may have refused a number of transformational deals in the past. When you look backwards, are you happy about the results? Do you think that this strategy has actually consolidated a much stronger bank, more solid in order to confront the crisis? How do you see the bank evolving in the future in terms of dealing in new ventures?
Banking system the commercial banking system is very inefficient in general terms. BBVA is the most efficient bank in the world, but having said that, we are not efficient enough in comparison with other more open industries. Therefore, there will be consolidation in this sector, and there will be a huge amount of opportunities to increase your perimeter, to make acquisitions every day. And it's very important to control your ego, or the ego of your management, in order to grow through acquisitions without taking care of the final result of those transactions.
You're sometimes called a prudent person. Does this, have some returns in the banking industry? Has this been a good strategy looking backwards?
I think a banker, by definition, should be prudent, because the amount of ripple effects we can create, bankruptcy, our institution is huge, as we have seen. But we are prudent managing the risks. But we are not prudent in transforming the entity, which is completely different. We are not prudent in terms of trying to maintain the most talented people in the industry. We are not prudent on that. We are prudent just on the risk part of our business, which is the soul of our business.
Some analysts say that we may be starting to see the end of the recession. But I wonder, what do you think about the current financial crisis, and in particular, what should be the role of regulatory offices? Do we need more regulation, and what is the role of banks in this scenario?
We need more regulation, because we had a lack of proper regulation, which allow a lot of people making a lot of mistakes. Therefore, regulation should be improved and properly enforced. And the G20 is trying to completely overhaul regulation, compensation, accounting, and many things. And I think what is coming from the G20 meetings is going to favor the development of our industry in a far firmer base.
So we should expect more regulation at an international level, beyond the national borders, so to say.
That's very important because we need to have a level playing field, and we need to avoid regulatory arbitrage. Therefore, regulators should be more international, should be more coordinated, and should tackle the problems as soon as possible and not wait, until the limit.
If we look at the banking industry, you sometimes say that it will evolve in a number of ways. On the one hand, we can expect more concentration and convergence. On the other hand, we will see new species, new models of banking upsurging. So what is actually the place of BBVA within these two main avenues for growth in the future?
Our future is very clear. We are completely sure that there will be more consolidation in our industry, and which is most important for us, there will be a new business model in the commercial banking arena. Technology allows you to make things not just different, but far better in terms of quality of service, price, etc. And we are ahead of the pack in terms of transforming our bank into an excellent distribution services company of both financial and non-financial, eventually non-financial products. Non-financial product means bits, information, turning information into knowledge. And technology, the actual technology is huge, but over the next 5 to 10 years, it will evolve dramatically in terms of facilitating this change of model.
That's amazing because you talk very often about technologies. In fact, you are passionate about technologies. You started your career in IT, and you pay lots of attention to technologies within the bank. So you see in the future BBVA knowing more about the needs of its customers and cross-selling different sorts of products and services, even non-financial products and services?
Absolutely, because we had a huge database with trillions of information, which can be properly managed in favor of our customers. And as I said before, we can turn that information into knowledge. And knowledge means products which can help the life of our customers in terms of their non-financial life. I mean, their entertainment, their education, their tax aspects of their lives, many things, which we can help them to develop practically for free.
So you see maybe alliances between banks and companies like Google and providers of IT services. Will we see a more fussy or less determined frontiers for the industry of banking?
Frontiers are blurring, no doubt. And I will answer you in the other way around. There will be a new league of competition over time. And that league of competition will be made up of few physical banks which were able to turn into different companies. BBVA is there, no doubt. And few newcomers coming from the net. Google, I don't know, it's Google, but other people coming from the net. Therefore, when we are talking about merging and acquisitions, we are not talking about merging and acquisitions with just physical banks, also with the other people who are coming up very soon.
I know you are investing very heavily on technologies, and maybe, if I may suggest, we can move to one of the rooms of this building, which is the Innovation Center of BBVA, and we can see some of these devices that you are testing now. Should we go there?
Okay.
So this is the room where you have the new devices for improving your relations with the customers of the bank. For example, this device that you have here, what is it?
That is Mimo. It's a new device, money in, money out, which completely overhaul the world of the old ATMs. But you have more devices here, touch screens and devices which completely change our relations with customers. More flexible, less time to market, better prices, everything.
And I'm sure more enjoyable, because playing with the technologies is probably a new way, a new experience, a complete new experience.
That's right.
What is very
the world
evident,
is changing, and it's changing very fast.
And you're actually applying the newest technologies in your relations with the customers. Can I ask you, related to the technologies and the rest of the strategies at your bank, what are actually the key challenges for the future?
We are on the right path, and we want just to keep on. Probably being a little faster, changing the business model, but at the end of the day, what we want is to, as soon as possible, to bring our customers what they are demanding in the 21st century, which is completely different what they have demanded before.
That's very interesting. And if I may ask, what is your vision for the future of the bank, given all the difficulties that lie ahead, given these transformations that are taking place in the industry? Mm-hmm. So what is your vision for BBVA in the future?
BBVA has the possibility, the real possibility, of becoming one of the best companies of the world in its field. Now we are the most efficient, but we want to be not just efficient, but the best bank to work in for our employees and to have commercial relations with our customers. And that is our challenge.
Well, seeing these technologies, what is very evident is that you are going to be present worldwide. I'm sure that you are going to be more present, that you are going to grow your share in new markets, but in particular in the US and in Asia. Will these technologies allow you to get deeper in those very competitive markets?
Deeper, not just abroad, but in Spain and in other places. US is a must for us, and we are in some way setting up our model there, because Spain is far better than US in terms of banking services.
And the experience.
And we will expand our activities also in China, in Asia as a concept, and particularly in China, where we have an alliance with CITIC. The world, through this technology, is going to change in the sense that you need physical presence, no doubt, but at the end of the day, you need both physical and virtual presence. How much, or how much quantity in terms of physical or virtual, it depends on many factors. The country, your customers, your employees. Therefore, this model is not unique. It's gradual, and you have to adapt this model to every, I would say, town, even every customer. It's very complex, but since it's very complex, it's very challenging, and we are enjoying trying to deploy these ideas.
Well, it's very impressive, and I have to say that I see a very solid future for BBVA. And what I would like is to thank you for giving us this very precious time. I know that you have a very busy schedule. I was very impressed at visiting this wonderful Center for Innovation of BBVA.
Thank you very much.
Clearly relishing a challenge, Mr. González has said that to encourage people to work for something big, you have to give them a big target. Under his skillful leadership for BBVA, that target is to be the best bank in the world.